start doing something. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Roberts with the Abundant Retirement Podcast today. And as always, welcome those of you who are listening or those of you who might be at some of our outlets doing video. We always appreciate your time and effort. And, something I always forget to do, Mr. Shore, is tell people to hit that subscribe button, man, because you know what? That's what everybody tells me whenever I look at a podcast. Just hit that subscribe button. So maybe we should tell people to hit that subscribe button, brother.
Well, we should. In fact, Tony, you know what? We're available on all the major podcast services. The show is on there every week with brand new financial advice, great tips on financial advice, retirement planning advice, income investing, and it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And on any of those, just hit like and subscribe and give us an honest 5-star review. That's all we ask.
That's
is
it.
an
Just
honest 5-star. Yeah.
5-star. That's all we ask. We're not asking for 10 stars, just a little old 5-star review. We're not pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. So man, we're just piggy around here, baby. We're just piggy.
That's right. That is right, Tony. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and we'll give the contact information later in case they want to contact you and your team there for that to get a financial plan in place. But I'm excited about our show today. It's amazing. We were talking before the show about family, about growing up as kids when there were actually video arcades with the big standalone video games. I remember those days. Hanging out at the record store in my mall. There was a little mall in my hometown. We had a mall, and in the mall was a record store, and right next to it was the arcade. And I spent a lot of time in both, Tony. I'm telling you.
I can understand that. My arcade games were in a tobacco barn up in Henry County, Kentucky. That's where my arcade games were.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's neat.
So
I liked pinball. To be honest, I preferred pinball even over the electronic games. I like
playing pinball. I tell you what, Tony, and I know we'll get started here in a minute, folks, but when I got to college my freshman year in 1978,
you're dating yourself.
Freshman year. Yeah, I know. I'm old, man. But I remember that's when Pac-Man took off.
Yeah.
So you played Pac-Man enough, you finally found out what the pattern was.
Yep.
And if you could make that pattern work quick enough, man, you could ring the bell with old Pac-Man.
Yep. Yep. If you played it enough, you could get it figured out. And I remember there was a Miss Pac-Man machine, and I never played Pac-Man enough because the line was always long or there's a way. But I played when Miss Pac-Man came out, which is like early 80s, I think. I played that thing so much. I had that down. I could beat the whole thing. Yeah. I was always up in the top 3, score wise. But I didn't play. That's the only that. And there was a game called Mad Planets. Otherwise, I was over on the pinball machines, and I loved the pinball machines.
You Elton John in it, maybe. Pinball wizard. You go, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we want to talk about hopefully some topics that might help our listeners here a little bit.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
I tell you what, Tony, I run across this a lot. And one of the things that we try to do at the firm is to simplify to the best way possible for our people that we're having conversation with about what their money can actually do for them. And, I think they get hit with so many different, nuances and variances that are coming to them from so many different directions. They just think, oh my gosh, what do I do with my money? What do I do with my money? And this, that, and other. So we just try to break it down and let people know, Tony, realistically, there's only 2 things that your money can do for you. 2 things. While you're living, your money is here to support your lifestyle. I'm a big lifestyle person. I'll get into that in here in a little bit. So while you're living, your money's here to support your lifestyle. And guess what? After you're gone, your money's there to support your legacy. Now, What do you want your legacy to be? Is that the kids and the grandkids and the great grandkids and college, or is it maybe some charities or some things that are near and dear to your heart? I don't know what that is, but while you're here, it's lifestyle. When you're gone, it's legacy. So when you have the ability to start looking at things, hopefully a little simpler, maybe they start making a little more sense to you. And that's just some of the things that we've ran across quite often. Now, back to while you're here and talking about lifestyle a little bit. So, um, Tony, you've probably heard this. There's some myths that are out there. Well, I consider them myths, but there's propaganda out there that says when you retire, you can probably live on 60 to 70% of your pre-retirement income.
Yeah.
You've
I've
heard
heard that before.
Yeah.
Yep. 70% of your income, that pre-retirement, you'll be able to easily live off that in retirement.
So while I would love to have my 30-year-old body back, I don't want my 30-year-old checking account. Okay.
Right.
So let's think about that a little bit. Let's just think about that. Right before you retired, you become accustomed to living a certain type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it is.
Your bills have reached a certain level too.
Yeah, just because you retired
your
doesn't mean
lifestyle and your bills have reached
just
a
because
certain
you
level.
retired doesn't mean your bills just automatically stop. So
or go down at all.
Or go down. So you become accustomed to a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Prior to retiring that you like for the most part. And most of that has to evolve around your paycheck. Okay. So I tell people this a lot in my workshops. I've got people that live on 30,000 a year, Tony. I've got people that live on 30,000 a month.
Yep.
They're both happy. It's just their lifestyle is different.
Right.
Okay. Now,
but who wants to take a pay cut in retirement?
They don't take a pay cut. In fact, Tony, what we have found, the first 5 to 10 to 12 years after retirement, you probably need more money.
Right.
And why is that? Well, guess what? You now have time to start completing all those bucket list things that you couldn't do while you were working.
Trips, projects, remodels, traveling. Yeah. And every day is a Saturday.
Every day's a Saturday. You took it right out of my mouth, man. Every day's a Saturday.
Yeah.
So again, it's not a fact that we needed to probably replace 100% of your take-home income when you retire. We might need to provide you with another 10, 15, or 20% above and beyond that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's not inexpensive to travel, and that's what a lot of people like to do. So So again, whether you're living on 50,000 or 500,000 before you retire, in all likelihood, you want to come somewhere near that same amount of income coming in when you retire, when you actually retire. Now, let's flip it over to another myth. When you retire, you'll pay less in tax. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Yeah, if you agreed to the concept that you were going to cut out 20, 30, or 40% of your pre-retirement income as you go in retirement. So in other words, if you're used to living on 100,000, now I'm going to live on 60,000. If you're willing to compromise and do that, then maybe your taxes do go down somewhat because you're paying tax on 60 instead of 100. But if you're wanting to, again, keep that lifestyle in check, if I'm used to living on 100, I'm going to try real hard to probably stay living on 100. Then guess what? The taxes are going to be the same. And if Congress decides to raise them in the future, your taxes might be higher on the same amount of income in the future than it is getting lower. So 2 myths that are in the industry that just drive me a bit bonkers whenever I hear that stuff out there and things like that. So,
taxes. A lot of people think their taxes will be lower in retirement because they're not working. That's the logic, and that's the mythology that you're talking about. That's a myth, because you still have to have income in retirement. You're not working, but you're pulling that income from where? Your 401k, your traditional IRA. And if that's where all your money is at, if it's in the market through a 401k or IRA or TSP or whatever account, employer-sponsored retirement account you had, or personal retirement account, all that money is taxable. The principal and the interest, any that comes out is fully taxable, right?
Correct.
And
Exactly
even your
right.
Social Security can be taxable in at
Yeah,
least a portion of it. A good portion of it can be taxable in retirement. So those are two things, I think, myths that people are misled by. I don't know why more people aren't shouting this from the mountaintops. Taxes in retirement are a real concern.
exactly right. And again, that that goes to putting pressure on what your amount of income is going to be. We work heavily in the federal employment arena,
Right.
and I always say they've got a three-legged stool. They've got a pension, they've got Social Security, but then that their retirement plan is that third leg. And I try to tell people all the
The
time. I said
TSP, right?
the
That's a
TSP, correct,
yeah.
the thrift savings plan. So again, I try to tell people all the time. While you're working, you're getting paid every other Friday. You're contributing money to your retirement plan. It's being matched by your employer. You're not pulling money out of your TSP or 401k or whatever the case may be, because guess what? You're getting a paycheck, every other week, twice a month, whatever the case may be. Well, Tony, when you retire, guess who's in charge of the paycheck? You are.
Yeah. You're
So,
responsible.
so again, if I've got that $100,000 number, where's it going to come from? Well, how much is pension going to take care of it? Probably 25, 30, 35%. How much is Social Security going to take care of it? Maybe another 25 to 30%. So then that's leaving you with maybe 20, 30% that now you've got to pull out of your retirement portfolio to make up the money. And again, if the market's weaving and bobbing up and down, do you want to have all of your eggs in one basket? Maybe, maybe not. Most of my people that we work with like to diversify somewhat so that when the market has its glory days and its great days, that everything is rising, everybody's feeling happy, happy, happy. But when it has its 2020s and 2022s and 2008s happen, when things are down 15, 20, 30, 45% in '08. If I'm pulling money out of accounts that are going down in value, I'm sort of causing that snowball to become an avalanche to a certain degree. Does that make sense? Maybe,
Yep.
hopefully a little bit.
Yeah.
So, these are things that you have got to look at and have to have what I call a plan. We had this couple come in the other day, and I was meeting with them, and they'd already met with a couple of people out there. One was with a broker dealer, the other one was with a bank. And she came in and she had all these notes. And Tony, the only thing in those notes were these people talking about product.
Oh,
One of them wanted to sell her an annuity. One of them wanted to put her in the market. One of them wanted to do some other type of this and that and the other. And I just looked at them. I said, did any of them ask you all how much money you needed or offered to put together some type of plan that is, stress test for the next 20, 30, 40 years? And they just looked, they said, no. He said, all they wanted to do was just sell us a product. And I had to apologize because that's what our market does. That's what our industry does.
yeah, that's
They
not
are
good.
taught from when they're born as a baby and decide to get in this business. They are taught about sell product, sell product, sell product, sell product. Even if the client doesn't need the product, sell the product, because guess what? When you sell the product, that's when you make your fees and commission, and that's how you live. And I'm not saying you don't live. I mean, if it wasn't for commissions and fees, we wouldn't live either very well. But do it in the right way, guys. Do it in your client's best interest. Make sure you're putting an outline together that
It's
to,
comprehensive. It
well,
covers all
yeah,
the areas. It's
yeah,
it's not just focused in one area.
yeah.
Yeah.
It always go back to that building the house. You don't just start by just jacking up two befores. You've got an architect that gives you a blueprint, and
Right.
that you might change that blueprint every a little bit time to time, but you better know where those studs are supposed to go before you start putting a roof on the thing. So those are things that you've just got to look out for, when you sit there and start thinking about retirement and how to put things together the way you want to. Because in my opinion, Tony, I don't think anybody wants to take a lifestyle hit just because they retire.
Right.
And that's pretty much what my clients have told me throughout the years. So that's one thing. Now flipping it over, you've lived to be a grand old age of 98 years old, and you still got a few dollars left in your name. So what do you want to do with it? Does it just automatically go to the kids? Do we have a spouse still living? Um, do we pay for college for the grandkids? Do we give it to your church? Do you maybe there's a school or an education facility or something out there, a charity, whatever the case may be. But how do you want your stuff to be divided up once you're gone? So again, you've got to have that legal piece in place: your wills, your power of attorneys, your medical directives, your trust. Maybe some simple trust makes sense. Tony, I don't know what it is, but whenever I have people that have got probably 3 or more children, usually one of those kids aren't very good with money.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the parents know it. So the parents are always very skeptical about, what, we've got $200,000 each for the 3 kids, and with 2 of them, we think it's going to be fine. But man, as soon as that 200 grand probably lands in the third kid's checking account, it's going to be gone. So again, you can work around that by setting up some proper trust to where maybe you leave the money for that third child in trust. You have provisions there to where they can get to it for needs and access it for certain types of situations and things like that. But they're not going down the street tomorrow morning and buying a new Lamborghini, which is probably something you didn't want to have happen.
Right.
A buddy of mine once said, Tony, guess what happens if you don't spend your money?
Somebody else spends it.
Your kids will. So,
yeah.
It's so you've worked all your life.
You can't take it with you.
No, you can't take it with you.
But you can direct where it's going to go and how it's going to be used.
Exactly right. So again, I think these things are important, and we try to simplify it. We try to make it sound, like it's attainable, which in most cases it is. But and everything's got caveats to it and all this other good stuff. But lifestyle and legacy. When you look at it like that, there's it sort of breaks it down to simplicity a little bit.
Yeah. And I like the way you do that and how you help your clients, but you do want to work with a trusted financial professional who is going to do what's in your best interest, but get to know you first, find out what your goals are, where you're at, what you're going to need in retirement, and then come up with a written plan that encompasses everything, whether that's investments, that's what you have in the bank, that's what you have in insurance products, that's what you have as far as health, Social Security, healthcare costs, and then, like you said, legacy planning and that enhanced planning and estate plan. And that's not just for the wealthy. Everybody should have that. Everybody needs powers of attorney and a will and a trust. I can't say that enough. It's going to save you. It's going to save your loved ones money down the road and a lot of headache and possibly family disharmony. So great information. But how can our listeners out there get that written plan? I know you and your team there offer a no charge, no obligation consultation, right?
Yeah. So there's 2 or 3 ways to get in touch with us. One, you can email us at info@abundantretirementplanning. 3 words: abundant retirement planning. So info@abundantretirementplanning.com. You can come to our websites, arobertsassociates.com, arobertsassociates.com. Call us toll free at 888-955-3665. You can text us. You can text us at 502-632-3339. So anyway, there's all kinds of different ways to get in touch with us. And Tony, you hit it right on the head. The first meeting with me is us just trying to get to know each other a little better, exploratory. Tell us a little bit about where you are in life, where you want to go. And we'll try to maybe put some things together, some different models that maybe can show you how to better get there. And so we get to know each other a little better. We'd have some conversation. At that point, if we want to start taking data and putting it into the system, sort of getting an idea of how these models look from a very conservative standpoint, we bring that back to you, let you take a look at it, explain it, have some additional conversation about that, see if any of it makes sense, see if it needs to be tweaked or anything, and then from there we sort of move on. At that point, if you all feel like we're a good mix and we feel like you are a good mix and working together seems to make sense, then there's certain processes that have to go through with getting you on board as a client of our firm. But those first couple of meetings are just trying to figure out, hey, look, where am I? Where do I want to be? What's the best way to get there? And after 40 years, we've sort of got a pretty good system and process of how to help that happen. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's what we do. It's all
All
fun.
right. And that number again is 888-955-3665. Give Tony and the team there a call at arobertsassociates.com. Love it. Well, Tony, great show today. And that does it.
Already? It's already over?
Yeah.
Man, Tony, I tell you what, you just time just flies by when having fun with you, man.
When we're having fun, doesn't it? All right, thanks, listeners and viewers. Thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Abundant Retirement with our host Tony Roberts.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, folks.